Hey, good morning, everybody. You hear the music. You know it's Wednesday. It is time for your Berkshire Hathaway bi-weekly podcast. In the studio, joining us today, realty expert John Brodeen. And we're going to be talking with John right after this.
Look, if home feels too big, you want that home, let's get you a smaller Let's go get you that home. And it's okay if the process seems daunting. And it's okay to feel a little nervous. Or you're having a hard time letting go. Or to not know what to look for. Because our network agents have the expertise to help you downsize. Because our network agents have the expertise to take the right size out of buying a home. Well, most of it. Now let's go get you home.
All right, we are back. John Brodeen, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm good.
Good. Been a couple of weeks.
Yes,
been beating any people up or getting beat up or anything lately?
No.
No, kind of taking a little time off?
No, I'm still training.
Yeah.
Five days a week. So.
Oh, that's all?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, that's it.
When's your next big gig? You got anything lined up?
I don't have anything planned. I don't know when the next tournament is that's locally here, but there's a couple in September. I wasn't really able to do them. I had a couple little injuries nagging, and so I haven't done any since May, since that last one in Minneapolis. But I love training too. So even if I don't have a tournament or competition coming up, I'm always training. Yeah.
So do you only take time off when it comes to injuries, or is there a time of the year where you go, look? I mean, even professional athletes take a little break now and then, but do you ever say, okay, I'm taking the month of May off or July? You're still 5 days a week just pounding away.
Yeah. I had, even with these injuries, it wasn't enough where I had to take time off, but I just wouldn't have been where my ankle was all messed up. So if I would have competed and gotten stuck in an ankle submission, I would have probably hurt it a lot worse.
Yeah.
But I was still able to train. I just had to be careful with it. No, I never really take any time off. If I go on vacation, I usually try to train like once or something or a couple times, depending on what we're doing. But sometimes that'll be a situation where I take a few days off.
Well, I would imagine, as is in any physical type sport, your opponent would take advantage of that if they knew, hey, I'm fighting John Brodeen coming up here, but he's got a bum ankle.
Yeah.
Which ankle? You know, they're probably going to go all over that.
Yeah. That's why you don't tape it up, or if you do, tape both of them up or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't limp.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't so bad that I couldn't like walk or couldn't do much, but it's in a situation where if it gets like extended and cranked on or something, it's going to hurt really bad, and I'd have to tap out and lose or get it injured or something.
That would be a bummer.
Yeah.
Big plans for Halloween?
Well, we're going to be in Nashville for the
Hall
of Fame game. So
good for you.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Awesome. You think we should talk realty stuff?
I guess. Yeah,
you know,
have to.
With what you guys do, I mean, you are the realty experts, and you guys have taught me so many different things. But what I'd really like to know is, what is the most common question that buyers have? Yeah,
so I've kind of put together some of the most common questions that we get. The first one being, what's the first step to buying a home? First step to buying a home, we had Shanna in last time I was on, is getting pre-approved. You definitely want to know what homes are going to fall within your budget, where your monthly payment wants to be, that sort of thing, so you can start the home search right. And once you have that pre-approval, you are officially a buyer. You're able to actually, go for something if you see the right opportunity. But until then, you're really not. You don't have any leverage. You don't have anything. So you really shouldn't be starting to look at homes until you get your pre-approval done.
Right.
Even if you don't buy right now, it's not a big deal. The thing lasts for like 3 months. It's maybe even 4 months now. It's super easy to renew it. So that's the first step. Another commonly asked question is, how much is my down payment going to be? So the old myth, you got to put 20% down to buy a home. Not true.
Yeah, that's not true anymore.
Yeah, in East Grand Forks, if your income qualifies and all this other stuff, you can use a USDA loan, which is 0% down. If you're a veteran, you can use a 0% down VA loan. You can use that in Grand Forks and East Grand Forks and the surrounding area. Home needs, same with USDA, you need to meet some condition requirements too on the home. But as long as it's a decent move-in ready home, you'll be fine. You've got conventional loan products that are insured, so you're able to put anywhere from 3 to 5% down. Those are awesome. Those are probably some of the most commonly used. I read online that the average buyer puts about 11% down. So that includes people who are buying their final home, where they're putting a large sum down, their second home where they're maybe putting 20% down, and first-time buyers where they're putting 3% down.
Okay.
So it's not the 20% number. Another commonly asked question is, should I buy or rent? And even if they don't ask me this is something I'm going to cover with them. If they meet with me, they're a client of mine, I want to make sure they make the right decision and that they don't take an unnecessary risk. Usually my cutoff for people is if you can commit to living in the home for 4 or 5 years, it's a pretty sound financial decision to own rather than rent. But if you could easily see yourself needing to move to a different town or maybe outgrowing your new place in, a couple years, it's actually safer to rent.
No, I would think that would pain you a little bit to say, you know what, I think you're better off renting than buying a house from me, but you got to be truthful, right?
Yep, that's what it's all about. It's going to be a lifelong relationship with the client. And so honesty is really important. You have to be honest with them. You have to tell them stuff maybe they don't even want to hear sometimes.
Right.
But it's in their best interest. I want them to know exactly what they're getting into. And if I encourage somebody who's only going to live in a home for 2 years to buy a home, they're probably going to call me when it comes time to sell it. And if I told them, hey, this is a great idea, there's nothing that can go wrong financially, this is exactly the right decision to make, and then in 2 years the market hasn't gone up, they haven't paid much of their loan down, it's expensive to sell, and then now they're having to write a check to get out of it, or they're barely breaking even, and it's much harder to sell than it is to get out of a rental. Even if I don't make any money on it and they realize that they are better off renting until they're in a different stage in life or whatever,
they're going to remember that.
They're going to remember that, and then reputation's everything too. So it's.
And I would imagine you guys, a lot of it, your reputation, what you mentioned, but a lot of your so-called advertising would be word of mouth.
Exactly.
Because it's like finding a good doctor or a good banker or a good mechanic.
Yep.
It's the same thing with finding a good realty expert.
Yep. You got to give everybody the right advice. That advice doesn't serve me at all, but it could save that person a lot of money and a lot of headache. And that's what I'm here for,
Sure. What isn't any more?
So, so this one would apply to homeowners who are looking to buy a home. Should I sell my home before I buy a new one, or should I, buy the new one before I sell my home? Now, this is one of those answers where the answer is it depends. If you're in a hot seller's market where offers that are contingent upon a home sale are not getting accepted, or there's a high likelihood that even if they did accept it, you get bumped out by a non-contingent offer while you're trying to sell your home, it's better off to take the risk of listing your home first and getting an offer on it and getting it under contract and then beginning shopping. The risk of that is that you could get stuck without a home for a little bit. But in a seller's market, the seller kind of holds more of the leverage, so the seller could set the closing out further. The buyer's going to have to conform more to the seller's terms in that market.
Sure.
So if you list your home first and get offers, you negotiate with them, you could negotiate like a sale and lease back where you close on your home, but they allow you to live in there for an extra month or 45 days, and you pay them rent to live in the home for that amount of time. You negotiate an extended closing to give you more time to search for a home. That's probably the lower risk situation, because in a seller's market, your offer, if it's contingent on home sales, probably not going to get taken very seriously. You're either going to have to overpay to get a home, or you're at a high risk of getting bumped out, or high likelihood of your offer not getting accepted at all.
Tell me if this is common or not, because when we bought our first starter home, and then we found our new home, which was significantly bigger, better, more expensive, but both were contingent on selling. So we had to sell our home, and we wanted to buy their home, but they had to find a home and all of that. So what we did is we kind of swapped mortgages for a while, if that makes sense.
Okay.
We paid their mortgage so we could officially have that house, and they paid our old mortgage but do things like that, or is that just something you try to work out on your own with these people, and is that something that you realty experts deal with and work it out?
Yeah, so it is something that we deal with and work it out. More common than that would be a sale and lease back.
Okay.
Where you're selling your home, but you need some time to shop for a new one. So they let you, the buyers of your old home, let you live there for a little while after closing. In your situation, was it an off-market deal?
No.
It wasn't. It was on the market. So there's a lot of creative ways where you can structure it to make it work for both parties.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually had same realtor for both.
Okay. And like I said, it's going to depend on what the market's like,
Mm-hmm.
because you were probably paying a higher mortgage and these people were paying a lower mortgage, but maybe that's what you had to do in order to get them to want to work with you
Mm-hmm.
if it was a seller's market. So it's going to depend on who has the leverage.
Okay.
In a lot of cases.
And I will tell you this, John, this is way before your time. So that's why we didn't go with Berkshire Hathaway.
Okay,
It was a long time ago. You were probably about 10.
Okay. That makes me feel better.
Any other questions? I mean, I would imagine of all the questions you get all the time, you've probably got a list of those top 10 or something.
Yeah. So, and these are mostly questions for buyers.
Okay.
But they are the most commonly asked ones. Another one is what is a seller's market and what is a buyer's market? I just referenced that when we're talking about the last question. But so a seller's market is when there's not very many homes for sale compared to the number of homes that sell each month. A buyer's market is exactly the opposite, where there's tons of homes for sale in comparison to how many sell each month. So in a buyer's market, the buyers have all the leverage because there's not many buyers for the number of homes that are available. In a seller's market, the sellers have all the leverage because there are very few homes available,
Right.
low inventory compared to the number of people who want to buy a home. And a balanced market is usually when there are roughly 6 months of inventory, meaning it would take 6 months at the rate that the homes are currently selling at for all the inventory to sell out. That's when neither the buyer or the seller is at a major disadvantage and it's pretty balanced.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's inventory like now?
It's still in the territory of a seller's market, and
Okay.
it'll slow and get closer to a balanced market. Like from 2015 to 2019, the winter months were more of a buyer's market, lots of inventory sitting out there compared to the number of homes actually selling. And then the spring and summer months would be more of a buyer's or a seller's market, excuse me. Right now, we're seeing it where, it is a seasonal market still, but it's a really screaming hot seller's market in the spring and summer months, and it's less of a dramatic seller's market, but still a seller's market in the winter and fall months.
All right. If somebody was heeing and hawing about possibly selling their house, would you recommend wait till spring? Or I guess it all depends on what the house is like, what they're asking for, and all of that stuff.
Yep. It's going to depend if they have a home. Do they want to buy a home in Grand Forks? If that's the case, it might be easier to find the home that they're looking for right now compared to if they waited till the spring or summer months when it might be very hard or they might have to overpay for the type of home that they're looking for.
Okay.
If they were selling here and leaving or selling here and going to rent or whatever, you're probably the odds are stacked the most in your favor roughly in like April and May. So I would probably list no later than the end of March.
But even if you were going to list in April or May, you should probably start talking to people like you now.
You should. And there is a little risk involved in that because things could change. Interest rates could go up. You never know what the market's going to be like 6 months from now.
Right.
But if you're banking on the pattern continuing, the ideal month to list your home to get top dollar would be that, end of March. So another question that buyers ask a lot of times is how many homes should I view before I decide to offer on one? It's completely up to you as the buyer. It does help a lot to see homes in person, but seeing too many homes can also make the decision-making process harder on you.
Sure. I mean, if you like it, go for it.
Yep, exactly. If it feels right and your agent is knowledgeable and tells you, hey, like, I think this is this home's priced properly, it meets all your needs. It might take a little bit before another one comes on the market that's like this. You can feel comfortable going for it even if you've only viewed a couple homes. A lot of times homes look different in person than they do in pictures, so it is good to view some homes in person. But the home shopping process, it's a process of elimination. You don't want to keep adding options to the list and making it more difficult for you to make a decision. Once you do decide on making an offer on a home, a lot of people ask, how long is it going to take to hear back? Unless they have set up a specific deadline on when they're going to respond to offers, a lot of times you can expect to hear back usually within like 24 to 48 hours.
Okay.
Maybe even less. That's about how long it takes for them to come back to you. A lot of times they will make a counter offer back to you, unless you're in a multiple offer situation. So if it's just you're the only offer, it's probably going to take 24 to 48 hours to get a counter offer back. Then you're going to negotiate back. It's pretty normal to go back and forth, three or four times.
So what do you tell people when they ask you, do I really need a home inspection?
Okay, so home inspection, that's another one. Do I really need a home inspection? commonly asked question. We typically say yes. We do recommend getting a home inspection. There's a lot of things that the average buyer, the untrained eye, can't see. And it's nice to get a second opinion. It's not that expensive when you're talking about how expensive a home is. You know, you're paying $350, $400 for a home inspection, get all those systems checked out. And if there are surprises that come up, it's a chance to negotiate a little bit more and maybe get the seller to give you some money so you can fix some of the safety hazards, or get the seller to fix some of the safety hazards beforehand. And even if you get a pretty clean bill of health on the home, that also gives you more peace of mind getting into it.
And I would imagine a common question is, how long does it take to close?
Yeah, that's another common one. Takes roughly 45 days right now to get from contract to closing. The thing that takes the longest, of course, you have your mortgage underwriting time, and a big part of that is the appraisal. The appraiser has to get out there, view the home in person, and then they're going to create their appraisal report and submit it back to the bank. The appraisers are often very busy, so it takes a while for them to get this back. That's probably the longest thing that you wait on.
Okay.
If you're buying a home cash, no appraisals needed. The only thing that they need to do is title work. In that case, you can close in probably about 10 days, 10 to 14 days.
All right. So if somebody's got any questions, they're looking to buy or sell, how do they get a hold of realty expert John Brodeen?
Yeah, they can shoot me a text, 701-213-5428. If you've got a question that you want covered too on one of our other podcasts, we can send me or you a message, and we can certainly cover it.
Absolutely. You're coming back Friday, right?
Yes. Yep. I'll be back on Friday.
Hey, have a good remainder of the week.
Yes.
All right.
What's that?
Oh,
yeah. I need to order the episodes and get them up. So my podcast, these episodes will be available on my podcast shortly here.
okay. All right. There you go. Realty expert John Brodeen with Berkshire Hathaway. And I tell you what, if you look at Executive Properties Facebook page, they're looking to hire. So if you're going to buy or sell a home through realty expert John Brodeen, tell you what, use Executive Properties to, tweak or fix up that house. They do all types of residential work and commercial work. Check out their Facebook page or call them up, 701-330-1273, or go to executiveproperties.org. We're going to be back on Friday. John Brodeen, your realty expert, will be back with us. It's your Berkshire Hathaway bi-weekly podcast.